In the heart of Seattle, where the skyline shimmered with tech giants and the air buzzed with ambition. Riley Harper grew up invisible in her own home. At 10 years old, while other kids doodled stars or built forts from couch cushions, Riley was hunched over her father's old graphing calculator, rewriting its code to predict her math test scores with eerie precision. Her mother, Diane, gave her a fond smile and called it adorable. Her father, Nathan, barely glanced up from his tablet, engrossed in stock tickers. Meanwhile, her younger sister, Ava, only 7 but already a whirlwind of charisma, stole the spotlight at every family gathering. Her laughter louder than the clink of wine glasses. Her presence magnetic in every photo. Riley didn't mind. She liked the quiet. She liked the logic of code, where effort equaled output, where rules held firm. Unlike people. But life wasn't as clean as a well-written program. Harper Creative, the family's boutique marketing agency, was crumbling. Once a respected name in Seattle's competitive ad scene, it had been bled dry by outdated strategies and a stubborn refusal to embrace the digital age. Clients jumped ship, layoffs followed, and by the time Riley returned from Stanford at 23, the firm was a husk of its former self. She didn't come back for applause or nostalgia. She came back with a plan, a piece of software she'd started building in her dorm room. A predictive analytics engine called Pulse. It could read consumer behavior, anticipate market shifts, and optimize campaigns in real time. It wasn't flashy, but it was precise, relentless, effective. Riley saw it as the lifeline her family's business needed. In the spare bedroom of their Capitol Hill home, converted into a makeshift lab with tangled cables and glowing monitors, Riley worked. Her fingers flew across the keyboard, her wrists aching as she coded through the night. Pulse wasn't just a tool, it was her voice. Her proof. A way to fix what was broken without needing anyone's approval. She registered it under a new entity, Neura Core Solutions, a quiet legal safeguard she kept to herself, just in case. Ava, meanwhile, floated through the house like a celebrity on tour. At 20, fresh off a failed influencer gig in Los Angeles, she'd returned with a suitcase full of confidence and little else. She'd peek into Riley's room, ask, "What's this geeky stuff you're building?" and then, without waiting for an answer, say, "Make sure it looks good for the pitch." Okay, before vanishing to charm someone new on social media. Ava didn't understand Pulse. Neither did Diane or Nathan. Not really. They only knew the phones were ringing again. Clients were signing contracts. And the numbers were climbing. Within 6 months of Pulse's deployment, Harper Creative's campaign success rates soared by 35%. Costs dropped. Major brands like Nordstrom and Alaska Airlines came calling. By year 2, the firm's valuation hit $120 million. And tech blogs hailed it as Seattle's comeback story. But the spotlight never found Riley. Ava took center stage, volunteering to handle client demos with her dazzling smile and polished delivery. "I'm better at selling it," she'd said. And she was. She stood in boardrooms, gesturing at Riley's dashboards, tossing out phrases like, "our cutting-edge algorithms," without grasping the math behind them. The press ate it up. A feature in Tech Trend Northwest crowned Ava the visionary saving Harper Creative. Her face beamed from the cover. Her name in bold. Riley's wasn't mentioned once. Diane framed the article and hung it in the office lobby. Nathan bragged about Ava at golf outings. Riley kept coding, fixing bugs no one noticed, optimizing systems no one questioned. She didn't fight it. It was easier to let them believe what they wanted. Pulse was her truth, stitched into every line of code she'd written alone. The breaking point came at Pulse's official launch party, held on a sleek rooftop venue downtown. All glass and steel under a twilight sky. String lights twinkled over linen-draped tables, and jazz mingled with the clink of champagne flutes. Riley wore a simple black blazer, her hair pulled back, functional and unassuming. Ava shimmered in a gold dress, her laughter cutting through the crowd. Riley stood by the projection screen, watching Pulse's live metrics cycle, campaign wins, client sentiment, system uptime. Everything was flawless. Then Nathan stepped forward, whiskey glass in hand, microphone crackling. "Tonight's more than a celebration," he said. his voice warm with pride. It's a rebirth. Harper Creative was on its knees. But someone had the vision. The guts. The spark to turn it around. I'm thrilled to announce our new Chief Innovation Officer, Ava Harper. The applause was deafening. Ava froze, her smile flickering, then stepped into the spotlight. Her voice steady as she thanked the crowd. Riley didn't move, her pulse didn't race, it slowed. Cold and clear. Guests congratulated Ava, some mistaking Riley for a junior coder and shaking her hand with vague smiles. She nodded, polite, distant. Later, Nathan handed her a gift bag. Grinning, for the woman behind the scenes. He said, inside was a ceramic mug, best support staff. Riley clutched it, her fingers steady, and left without a word. Back in her apartment, the city's glow filtering through her window. Riley powered on her workstation. The hum of her monitors felt more real than the party's empty cheers. She opened NeuroCore's admin console, authenticated with a biometric key she'd coded herself years ago, and began to unravel the world her family had built on her work. Harper Creative's access to Pulse was tied to a renewable license agreement. Buried in a contract Nathan had signed without reading. The fine print was clear. The license depended on Riley's role as Director of Technical Operations. She initiated the termination process. Effective at dawn, one by one, she sent emails to major clients, Nordstrom, Alaska Airlines, a dozen others, each with a clause allowing them to walk if she did. The messages were calm, factual. As of tonight, I am no longer affiliated with Harper Creative. Per our agreement, you may renegotiate or terminate services without penalty. At 1:03 a.m., her phone lit up. A text from Ava. You okay? Riley stared at it, the words hollow. Ava had no idea what was coming. Riley powered off her phone. On her screen, NeuroCore's system confirmed the revocation of Harper Creative's back-end privileges. Their dashboards would go dark by morning. She leaned back, her fingers tingling not with nerves, but with certainty. They'd stood on her stage, claimed her work, and called it their own. By sunrise, they'd be left with nothing but shadows. The Seattle skyline glowed faintly through Riley Harper's apartment window. A constellation of ambition that never slept. At 1:03 a.m., her phone buzzed with a text from her sister. Ava, you okay? The words felt like static, meaningless against the hum of Riley's monitors. She powered off her phone. Her focus locked on the glowing interface of NeuroCore Solutions' admin console. This was her domain, her fortress, built from years of foresight and quiet defiance. Riley had always known the world could twist her work into someone else's story. So, when she'd returned to save Harper Creative, she'd taken precautions. Pulse, her predictive analytics engine, wasn't just registered under her name, it was locked down under NeuroCore Solutions. A separate entity she'd created with ironclad legal protections. The licensing agreement she'd slipped into the contract her father, Nathan, signed without a second glance tied Pulse's access to her role as Director of Technical Operations. It was a safeguard, a silent insurance policy. Tonight, she was cashing it in. Riley's fingers moved with surgical precision, authenticating her identity with a biometric key she'd coded herself at Stanford. The console blinked green, granting her full control. She initiated the termination of Harper Creative's license to use Pulse, scheduling it to take effect at 7 a.m. The dashboards her family had come to rely on, those sleek interfaces Ava waved at during client demos, would go dark. No warning, no negotiation, just cold, clean execution. Next, she drafted emails to Harper Creative's biggest clients, Nordstrom, Alaska Airlines, a sustainable fashion brand out of Portland, and 9 others. Each contract included a clause Riley had insisted on. Buried in fine print, if she left, they could walk. No penalties. Her messages were crisp, professional, unyielding. As of tonight, I am no longer affiliated with Harper Creative. Per our agreement, you may renegotiate or terminate services without penalty. Attached are the legal references and relevant dates. She sent them one by one. No mass lists. No shortcuts. The outbox cleared at 1:17 a.m., and the air in her apartment felt still. like the moment before a storm breaks. Riley leaned back, her chair creaking softly. Her fingers tingled, not from nerves, but from clarity. Harper Creative had built a glittering stage on her code. Her sleepless nights, her genius. They'd handed the spotlight to Ava, called her the visionary, and gifted Riley a mug that read Best Support Staff. Now, they'd learn what happened when the foundation walked away. She didn't feel triumph. Not yet. Just the quiet certainty of a program running exactly as designed. By 8:30 a.m., chaos had taken root at Harper Creative's downtown office. Riley walked through the glass doors, her heels clicking steadily on the polished floor. The front desk assistant was on 2 phones at once, her voice tight with panic. "I don't know why it's down," she kept repeating. A junior developer paced near the elevator, muttering about failed syncs and missing dashboards. In the hallways, whispers spread like wildfire. "The analytics are gone. Pulse isn't loading." No one had answers. Riley passed them all, calm and composed, a folder under one arm and a flash drive in her pocket. She headed straight for the executive conference room, where Nathan and Ava were already waiting. The room was a storm of tension. Nathan sat at the head of the table, red-faced, flipping through papers as if they held some secret to undo the morning's disaster. Ava stood by the whiteboard, clutching her phone, her usual poise replaced by wide-eyed dread. When Riley entered, Ava's shoulders sagged, relief laced with fear. "Riley, thank God," she said, her voice unsteady. "Something's wrong with Pulse. It's not loading. Can you?" "I know," Riley cut in, her tone even as she placed the folder on the table. "It's intentional." Nathan's head snapped up. "What are you talking about?" he demanded, his laugh sharp with disbelief. Riley met his gaze, unflinching. "I've terminated Harper Creative's license to use Pulse. It's no longer authorized for your use." Nathan's face twisted. "You can't do that. That's our software." Riley didn't blink. "No, it's not. Neura Core Solutions owns Pulse. Always has. You signed a licensing agreement when I came back. You also signed a clause tying that license to my role as Director of Technical Operations." She slid the flash drive across the table. "Here's my resignation, effective immediately." Ava's voice broke through, almost pleading. "You don't have to do this. Riley, we can fix this." "Dad," he didn't mean. Nathan started to speak, but Riley raised a hand. "I'm not here for apologies. I'm here to reclaim what I built." Nathan's voice rose, jagged with anger. "You blindsided us." Riley's eyes didn't waver. "No, you just never bothered to look." She turned and walked out, the sound of chairs scraping and papers fluttering fading behind her. In the elevator, her reflection stared back, not smug, not angry, just steady. Outside, the Seattle morning was crisp, the air sharp with possibility. Her inbox was already lighting up with client confirmations, terminations, transfers, inquiries. The collapse had begun. By noon, Riley was in her new office, a modest 3-room space above a Fremont bookstore. The paint fresh but the Wi-Fi spotty. The coffee machine wheezed. The desks didn't match, but it was hers. Neura Core Solutions was live, and Pulse was running under its own banner, its servers humming with zero downtime. 12 clients followed her in the first 24 hours. Nordstrom, Alaska Airlines, 2 mid-sized agencies from Denver and San Francisco. They didn't ask for Ava's charm or Nathan's promises. They knew who made Pulse work. Riley's team was small, 5 coders who'd stayed up with her through late-night debugging sessions. Who didn't care that she spoke little in meetings, only that she delivered. By 3 p.m., 2 new contracts were signed. By evening, proposals were out the door. The numbers rolled in, not with fanfare, but with the quiet rhythm of a system doing what it was built to do. Harper Creative, meanwhile, unraveled. Nathan was ousted by the board within days. Ava resigned shortly after, her polished Instagram posts replaced by silence. Tech blogs caught wind, their headlines biting. The AI coup, when the code's creator walks away. Riley didn't comment. She was too busy building. NeuraCore's valuation hit $600 million within weeks, driven by Pulse's flawless performance and a growing client list that included a healthcare startup and a sustainable retail brand. The work was clean, collaborative, no drama, no spotlight chasing, just progress. Ava called at 6:42 p.m. one evening. Riley let it ring. At 7:09, a text. Please talk to me. No response. 10 minutes later, an email from Nathan. No subject. Just one line. We can fix this. Riley didn't open it. They'd broken something fragile when they mistook her silence for absence. She hadn't walked away in anger. She'd walked away because she finally understood she didn't need their validation. The truth was in her code. Her clients. Her team. Weeks later, Riley was invited to speak at a tech ethics seminar at the University of Washington. She almost declined, but something stopped her. Maybe it was time to speak, not for herself, but for the next coder sitting in the shadows. She brought no script, only the chipped best support staff mug. She set it on the podium, its glossy letters catching the light as she spoke about innovation, ownership, and the cost of being unseen. The students leaned forward, some nodding, one snapping a photo of the mug. Riley didn't stop her. She spoke of building when no one's watching, of protecting what you create, of knowing your worth even when others don't. When she finished, the room was quiet, then erupted in applause, not thunderous, but real. Back at her apartment, overlooking the Puget Sound, Riley found an envelope slipped under her door. Nathan's handwriting, tight and slanted, like he was trying to cram a lifetime into one note. She held it, unopened, and tucked it into a scrapbook alongside a photo of her Nura core team, grinning in hoodies. Half caffeinated, proud, and the first contract that had pushed her company past $600 million. The mug sat on her desk, a relic of a past she'd outgrown. Riley poured a coffee, carried it to the window, and watched the city's lights dance on the water. For years, she'd waited for someone to say she mattered, that she was more than her code, more than her silence. Now, she didn't need them to. She'd built something no one could take, not to prove them wrong, but to know she was enough.